Glenn, baby, what's happening? You got that itch? You got that scratch? You got that monkey on your back? We know that monkey don't go away. It just takes a little break for a while, but it's always there. What you need?
I need everything, Michael. I feel it. I feel it there.
What you feel? You jonesing? You jonesing for something?
I can't stop. Look at my hands. They're shaking.
Oh, I know exactly what's going to calm those hands down.
Tell me, Mike.
This podcast contains spoilers for The Man with the Golden Arm. You have been warned, baby.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio, where we've got the itch for the scratch or whatever you need to get the monkey off your back. Hello, everybody. And this here is Miguel Magusto. Did I say that already? I said Glenjamin, but whatever.
You didn't say yourself
I'm
yet.
so high out of my mind from this movie.
Whoa.
Not literally, though.
Yes,
Please don't come knocking on my door, cops. Please.
Yeah. How you doing, Glenn?
Listen, I'm doing good. I'm not doing bad. I'm a little tired, little sleepy boy. You know, holidays are coming up. We're prepping. We're getting ready.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've just been decent.
Yeah.
I watched 2 whole movies, one with you and, well, one without you that we're going to talk about with you.
Yes. But what movies? I guess you want me to talk about them since you already...
Well, one I watched with you. We did a review. It's called Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's a pretty decent review if you want to watch us be funny in a way. But other than that, I watched The Man with the Golden Arm, which we will be getting to here in just really a millisecond, honestly.
Just a millisecond. Well, I watched 4 movies, contrary to my ratings. I just changed a bunch of ratings because I was making a list. I had a top 100 list, but I was like, I really don't know after like 25 how I'm ranking them exactly.
Yeah.
So I put all my 5-star ratings on there, and then there were some on there where like I would say that this is 5 stars. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but I love it. So yeah, that's why those showed up. But I watched 4 movies this past week. The first one is a film from 2020 called Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. It's an independent movie directed... why did I not have this ready?
You silly goose.
Good God. It is directed by Eliza Hittman, also written by Eliza Hittman. And it's essentially just the 17-year-old girl in rural Pennsylvania. Not like the liberal area that we live in, is like the conservative area. And she gets pregnant and wants an abortion. So her and her cousin go to New York to get an abortion. And it's just the struggles of that whole situation. Very interesting film. I very understated. It's one of those independent movies that's like not gonna blow your socks off, but it's just a really good story and told in an interesting way. And fun independent movies are fun. Oh, well, it's not fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a good independent movie. It's not a fun independent movie. Then I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. There is a review on that on our YouTubes. You can check that out. Yeah. Then I watched Titan, which, Glenn, I don't know if you know about this movie. Some of our listeners might know about it. It is a French movie that did very well at Cannes Film Festival, or Cannes Film Festival, and it is essentially about this woman who is a stripper and a serial killer who fucks a Cadillac and becomes pregnant.
Very lucrative business that she's in.
Yes. There's a video of me on my Instagram reacting to one of the more horrific scenes. So if you want to see, 'cause very few movies make me have visceral reactions like that did.
Yeah.
But that her movies always do. Julia Dockernau, or however you pronounce her name. So yeah, this is a very weird but well-made film. You're either gonna roll with it and love it, or not roll with it and hate it.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it. I would say I loved it. It definitely has, pacing problems, but overall it's a very good movie. Oddly heartwarming in a way. you'll have to see to know what I mean because it's spoilers past that. But yeah, those French people make weird movies.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, and then I watched The Man with the Golden Arm, which we will get into right now.
A junkie must face his true self to kick his drug addiction. Short and sweet and right to the point.
I accidentally pulled up The Man with the Golden Gun, which we had confusion about that last week.
Multiple times looking this movie up this week. I just put The Man with the Golden, and of course it goes right to it.
Yeah, even when you type in the full thing, that's the first one. Like, I know what I'm talking about, IMDb. Directed by Otto Preminger, written by Walter Newman, Louis Meltzer, and based on the novel of by Nelson Algren. It's starring Frank Sinatra, Kim Novak, Eleanor Parker, Arnold Stang, Darren McGavin, Robert Strauss, and a few others. Dora Morande. I don't know who that is. Well, I know who she is in this movie, but her name just popped up. But yeah, this was a streaming roulette pick. It was the most intriguing out of the three we watched. And Glenn, I have one burning question.
Tell me.
What'd you think?
Mike, what I thought. Thank God you asked. I was kind of surprised with this movie, to be honest with you. Mainly because everyone in it is an asshole. And here I am thinking, sitting on my own, I'm like, wow, why are people like they are? It's driving me nuts. And then there was one shining, shimmering person in there that really just made me fall in love with her the whole time. Molly, why are you the way that you are? Why are you so good and kind-hearted? How dare you, lady? It was actually really pleasant surprise, especially from Frank Sinatra. He actually did really well in this movie. Really just having no experience with him as an actor before, I was surprised at how well he at least did in a movie, for sure.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. That's the main reason I picked it. If anybody watched or listened last week, that's why I picked this movie.
Yeah, we both leaned that way because of Frank Sinatra. I agree with you with everyone being an asshole pretty much. It's from the get-go when they're trying to make like a one-armed man dance for a drink.
Yeah.
Just like, we're going there that soon? I hate it. But I agree Frank Sinatra did really well and Kim Novak did really well. But beyond that, I didn't really like this movie that much. I felt like it had a lot of pacing issues. Where it just felt really slow and didn't really pay off towards the end. That's just my opinion, obviously. But I was kind of disappointed with it in that sense where, the whole thing is about like the movement of jazz, more or less, with his character being a jazz drummer, the soundtrack being jazz. It's it's a running theme, but then so much of the movie is just stagnant. It was kind of missed opportunity in my opinion,
especially since none of it really had any of the jazz in it. Like he gets out of jail recently, going into a little bit of the plot here, obviously.
Yeah.
He gets right out of jail, and he's kind of like a recovering drug addict who got busted at what I'm assuming is an illegal card game.
Yeah, well, they kept calling him dealer, and for the longest time, I assumed he was a drug dealer.
Same.
Because we live in a world now where gambling is legal. I forgot that it was ever illegal.
Yeah. It's weird to think about there. So I'm assuming he was busted for illegal gambling, and recovered while he was in prison. Getting out, while in prison, he got over it by either playing the drums or doing some other recreational things that obviously weren't recreational drugs. So he just chilled, relaxed in there, and picked up a hobby of drumming. And then gets out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a drummer. I've got big passions to be a drummer." And then for a little bit there, we had what was going to be him like going and doing the drums and stuff like that, and then it's just never in it for at least a good hour of the movie. It's just like it jumps back to his habits, and like obviously old habits there die hard, and so a lot of the movie was taking place with that, but like it barely had any of the drumming that he was trying to get back into. Obviously, he fought a little bit with Molly's character on him trying to get back into it, but he never really did jump back into it.
Yeah,
that was kind of more the little plot points was that more than the actual drumming itself.
I feel like they should have focused on his drumming more because it would have really showed the stakes.
Even
when they did show it, the very first time they showed it, he's playing something that like you and I could play with 2 seconds of practice.
Like, with his little tics that not really tics, but his hands shaking, showing how bad he is at drumming. And like how he's like doing badly and very just poorly at drumming, and like him like looking at me like I need the fix. I needed to steady my hand again. I can't play like this. Just anything like that. But we never really got anything like that. He kind of just walked up to his room.
Yeah,
laid in bed
just
and was
refused
like, I gotta go get high.
Yeah, he refused to play drums when he was like coming down and his hands were shaking. But yeah, like I was hoping that like. And I don't know if Frank Sinatra ever played drums. I know he's more of a singer. Yeah. But I was really hoping that they would just have one scene where he would wow you with his drumming. And that just never came. Like, I'm not a drummer, and I could do probably 90% of the stuff that he did. And then, with a day of learning, could probably do the other 10%.
There was one point where it actually had me scared, where he did actually sit down in front of some people, like professional people. And
at the audition?
Yeah, and I actually got like flashbacks. I got PTSD flashbacks. I was like, oh shit, somebody's going to get a chair thrown at him.
Whiplash?
That's how bad Whiplash has rendered me.
No, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, oh boy, where's this going? And then they were just like, chill. They were like, yeah.
Just take a moment.
They didn't even say anything when he got up and left. They're like, yeah, that's about right. The one thing I think that this did well was how difficult it is for people who have spent time in prison to rehabilitate, to the point where, the cops come and pick him up literally as he's about to go to his audition or for an interview. And it is, it just makes me mad at the American justice system, because it really is like that. There's so many things that when you're out of prison that it's just so hard for you to rehabilitate, whether it's the system or people judging you because your past mistakes or something. It was I thought it did that really well, but that was just a small % of it.
It was really just right in the beginning.
Right in the beginning, and then the rest of it was just people trying to get him back into card dealing,
or drugs. Period.
Or drugs. And let's talk about the drugs. Like, I know this was the 50s, and they just had the pass-fail censorship system. But if anything, the way they show the usage of drugs in this is probably more harmful than good. Because they just make it seem like, oh, he does drugs and then he calms down for a bit.
Oh, yeah, super.
And he's
super
shooting heroin. It's not like he's just
shooting
like smoking
heroin.
He's shooting heroin and they're treating it like it's weed. Like,
and then like a day later, he's like, man, I feel great.
Yeah, I feel great.
Oh, man, I've never felt better in my life. This is a brand new day, and I love seeing how beautiful it is.
And that's kind of the problem. What? Like, to get on a little soapbox here, that's the problem with censorship, is that it kind of... It doesn't show you the realities of a horrible situation with violence or anything. It doesn't show you the realities of violence. It doesn't show you the realities of drugs. It doesn't show you the realities of, like, sex abuse or anything. It really just candy coats everything. And, I, for a second, was just like, yeah, maybe I'll do some heroin.
Yeah, I'm thinking this must feel good for a half a second.
I could stand to, relax a little bit. No, but it's just... When I was watching, I was just like, this is just so backwards with how censorship should be or is or anything.
So they made alcoholism look bad more in this film than the actual heroism. Heroin addiction. Heroism, yeah. He was a real good hero when he shot up that needle.
But it was just kind of laughable in a sense, and I know that's not any fault of the directors, or it's just of the times. Yeah, that's what they could get away with, and just kind of funny in that sense. It's just kind of a very stylized movie where, like, they spoke with a slang so frequently and so such a thick accent. I kind of wondered to myself, like, did people actually speak like this, or is this just Hollywood exaggerating? Because
who actually knows?
because specifically the character Sparrow, played by Arnold Stang.
Oh my god,
he just speaks so fast and so like you don't understand what he's saying most of the time because of the slang he's using.
Speaking of that character, I'm so glad he was in it as like least. In the beginning, he was in it a lot, and then he kind of drifted away. I'm kind of glad nothing against the actor. I just think that character was super annoying. For like, if he stayed throughout the movie, it would have been bad for me at least. But he played it great.
He did play it great. There's performances are probably the strongest thing about this film. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with the exception of Eleanor Parker, who plays Zosh, and that's probably more so her character, but it was just a bad role, bad character, annoying performance.
Very overdramatic. And I mean, definitely the most hated character for me in this whole movie, for sure.
If you didn't think that she was a horrible person, did we even watch the same movie?
Because like I said earlier, everybody's really just a piece of shit in this movie, honestly. Yeah. Even Molly has her flaws, and she's like the angel in this.
Zosh is the worst, though.
Zosh is
because she lies about being paralyzed.
She's Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
She lies about being paralyzed, which is bad enough itself. But she lies about being paralyzed so someone won't leave her. Mm-hmm. So it's toxic times 1,000.
It's like an opposite Stockholm syndrome or some sort of, I don't know how I was going to explain that, but if he can't leave me if I can't walk, I guess he'll never find out, the little shit.
And when she pushed Louis off the stairs, did you laugh as hard as I did?
Oh my god, I died.
That was so fucking funny. It was so
especially
awkward.
He pushed, and then it was just
she pushed him a little bit because it cut from her pushing the real actor to pushing a dummy.
Yep.
So like the strength difference in pushes was so great. It was
so great, and because it was a doll, it didn't have like any leg movements or anything, so it was just like it's like moving a plank of wood and like throwing it. Oh, it's just super stiff and just hilarious.
Sometimes I feel like we are a little bit spoiled in modern moviegoers, because I feel like that was probably really effective in the 50s.
Yep, they walked so we could run.
They walked so we could fly and then fall.
Yeah. Oh man. But this movie, it surprised me. I might have given it a higher rating than I probably should have. I might have to think on it a little bit, but it did surprise me with how good it was, specifically the performances. Everyone was a piece of shit, but everybody played that so well that I was like, well, I can't be mad at them for that, really. So that's where it basically surprised me the most. I am sad that the instruments and like the music really didn't take a hold as much as I wish it had.
Well, it was overbearing at sometimes. Like when the first time he does drugs after leaving, they're just like they're following Louis as he pulls out like instrument by instrument, drug by drug, and it's just like bah, 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 bah. It's just doesn't make too much tension or anything. It's just kind of overbearing. But like there's so much that is good about this movie that really, like, I would have rated this a lot lower if there wasn't as much to like about it. It's just it could really use an edit. And I know obviously they can't, because most, if not all, the people involved in this are already dead. But if they did like reshoots or some things, it's just there's enough here where it is almost a good movie, and in a way that kind of makes it worse, because it's like there's substance there that is just not fulfilled because of editing, timing, and like one or two bad performances.
There was another thing I was surprised about is some of the sequences in the cinematography was really well done too.
I would agree with that.
Like when he was like taken back to jail the first time there, and like that guy freaking out, and then like the camera like sways back, and then Frank Sinatra like leans up against the bars and it zooms into his face. It was very like handled well there.
I would agree.
But I mean, other than that, there was like a lot of portions where you saw people's shadows, which back in the times very hard to not do.
Yeah, I mean, you still see some movies nowadays with the camera shadow.
Yeah, very much so.
The hope is that the movie's good enough where you're not focusing on the place where the shadow is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't even that distracting in this because you're sitting there like, that's. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. There's two other things I want to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
And then I'm done. So,
Mm-hmm.
The first being, were they insinuating that he went through withdrawal and the whole cold turkey thing in a single day? Because that's what it felt like.
I mean, he didn't do drugs for the. Are you talking about the last part for sure?
When he's locked in Molly's room, it felt like.
So when he was locked in Molly's room, that had already been at least 2 days for sure.
Okay.
Because that was that was after all that shit that happened with the card dealing, and he stayed up for 2 nights already there.
Yeah.
And then he knocked the homie out on the second night. Went to Molly's he went somewhere.
Okay.
So it was basically the 3rd or 4th night.
Okay,
I think.
that makes sense because I just Googled it and it says it generally takes 2 to 3 days after the final consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, never mind that. It just felt like a single.
I mean,
it
it did feel like that. They handled that a little bit, at least poorly. Like
and again, that's like an editing thing. Like they could have made it more clear. But there's a Heath Ledger movie where the entire premise of the movie is him and his girlfriend locking themselves in their apartment to go through withdrawal. I'm trying to find out. Candy, that's what it is.
Candy.
I believe that's with Avi Cornish as well. Yeah. Check that movie out. That's a good movie about drug rehabilitation and addiction. But yeah, that was just kind of, it felt awkward to me. And then the final thing, which is one of the final moments of the movie, is when Zosh is being arrested and she runs away. And she throws herself off the balcony, but she has to blow her whistle one last time.
Yeah, that guy. Oh my God! You know what I wish that Frank Sinatra. She was like falling off, and he grabbed that whistle, and it yanked it off her neck, and she fell to her death. How about that?
That would have been better.
Yeah. Maybe not yanked it off her neck, but he was trying to save her.
Yeah,
and
I
then
knew
it
what you
broke.
meant.
Yeah, that would have been pretty.
Yeah, and
nice.
And then the EMTs coming up to her and like checking her vitals.
Yeah, well, she's dead as shit. What are we gonna do?
I mean, she fell from 3 stories. There's still a chance that she could live, and I'm pretty sure even if you suspect someone is dead, that you still can't just move them without safety precautions. I could be wrong about that. But that, because if she wasn't dead and you just thought she was dead, she's definitely dead now, or at the very least paralyzed. It was just kind of funny and awkward how long it took, too, for them to check the vitals and then just be like, oh, nope, we're going to take her off screen, carry her.
This is a wrap.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this movie, but there's more to dislike about it. And ultimately, for me, the pacing is the killer of it. But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think same for me, honestly.
Yeah. So that brings us to the judgment for the man with the golden arm. Does it become a little shelf boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden? I think it's pretty clear for me. This has to be a unanimous decision. So I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to say no. I think there's a lot better movies from this era that are, there are probably some dealing with addiction too that are better. I know there's better Frank Sinatra movies. This one did not impress me. I wish it was better because there was a lot to like about it. But ultimately, I'm gonna say no. It doesn't go on the shelf.
All right. From there, I guess I'll just say I did really enjoy this movie for the most part. But I mean, regardless, I don't think it even would have made it for me either. I think I really would recommend it. I don't know if I'd put it on a shelf, though, sadly.
Yeah. I don't even know. This might be the furthest you and I have ever differed. I don't even know.
Other
than Mr. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I would even...
or Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody. Yeah. See, I don't even remember it. because, but yeah,
you don't even want to get the satisfaction of finishing its name.
Exactly. So the Man with the Golden Arm does not make it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. You know, the holidays are upon us. This is coming out after Thanksgiving, and we got a little holiday treat. We're gonna do 3 holiday movies in a row. It's gonna be a fun time. And my pick, I'm pretty sure you haven't seen this, Glenn. This is a little known film. I haven't seen it either. That I figured that this was a good chance for both of us to watch this. A film that you definitely have not seen, called Jingle All the Way. That little chuckle made me so happy. So I legitimately have not seen this movie.
I love this movie.
I figured that if I'm not going to watch it for KFR, I'm never going to watch it.
Yeah.
So not that I have anything against this movie. It's just one of those movies that I haven't gotten around to watching, and I'm not going to watch it unless I make myself watch it for KFR. So Jingle All the Way is going to be on Amazon Prime. I believe there are other places you can watch it.
I think I saw Hulu, but
it's on Hulu, yeah. And then you could rent it. Disney Plus, you can rent it on other things as well. So Jingle All the Way, directed by Brian Levant, or Levant. I'm assuming it's Levant because that sounds better. Written by Randy Cornfield, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, Phil Hartman, R.I.P. Rita Wilson, also known as Mrs. Tom Hanks Wilson. She kept her last name, but she took his first and last name for her first and middle name. I don't know where I'm going with that. Robert Conrad, Martin Mull, Jake Lloyd, who, people need to stop ragging on him for Phantom Menace. Jim Belushi, and many others. So Jingle All the Way is: a father vows to get his son a Turbo Man action figure for Christmas. However, every store is sold out of them, and he must travel all over town and compete with everybody else in order to find one. And something about cookies, too. Jingle All the Way.
Put the cookie down!
Put the cookie down! I love Phil Hartman. If I'm honest, that's like 90% of the reason why we're watching this.
Absolutely.
He was one of my favorite comedians. I learned about him after he died, but didn't find out he died until I watched a bunch of his stuff, and then I was sad when I found out he died.
I remember him majorly from Toy Story, or not Toy Story, Small Toy Soldiers, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We did it on KFR.
We did do that.
Yeah, so Jingle All the Way, available on Amazon Prime.
Every holiday season, there's one toy everyone has to have.
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the rock and roaring jetpack, and the boomerang shooter.
Getting it is every child's dream.
Whoever doesn't can be a real loser.
Finding it.
You got the doll, right?
Is this father's nightmare.
I'll get that toy. I promise.
Whoa! Nothing like waiting until the last minute, Howard, sir.
Especially on Christmas Eve.
That is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com, on Instagram, Keystone_film_review, Twitter, Keystone_film, Facebook, Keystone Film Review, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. There's too many of these now. TikTok, Keystone Film Review, and on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week, when my Arnold Schwarzenegger accent does not get any better.
I am Turbo Man.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I'm actually a decent Arnold Schwarzenegger impressionist, but I'm just terrible when it's coming to podcasts.
Goodbye, everybody. Mine sounds a lot better in my head, but I know it's terrible. It's like, goodbye.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.